everyone. Welcome to the Special Ed Warriors podcast. My name is Will. My co-host, Tattooed Amazon, couldn't make it today. We read an article from Education Week titled "Why Special Education Teachers Quit and What Schools Are Doing About It." It was written at the end of May of this year. With the new school year coming up, I thought it'd be interesting to read it. So let's look at it, shall we? So here's the article, "Why Special Education Teachers Quit and What Schools Are Doing About It" by Evie Blond. I haven't read it yet, so I'll just be reading and giving my comments as I go. Being a former special education teacher, I can understand why special education teachers are quitting. So I want to see what this article has to say about that. So it starts solutions to the perennial crisis of special education staffing must extend beyond training and recruiting more teachers to the more complex work of retaining educators who already enter the field, experts say. That's true. We want to keep educators, especially the good ones. A lot of times, the good ones are the ones that leave, and you're left with the not so great ones. So 21% of public schools reported that they were not fully staffed in special education at the start of 2023-2024 school year. Wow. So that's still a pretty big percent. 21% of public schools reported not fully staffed in special education last year. That's a big number, especially when you have kids with needs and support, and they're not staffed to help these kids, which I definitely can relate to when I was working as a special education teacher at public school. There wasn't enough staff, and it was pretty much it was all put on me as the teacher for my kids. And I worked with kids, I worked in an autistic unit with kids with severe autism level 3, so we were not staffed to fully staffed. So it became like it was a nightmare. A lot was put on me and my assistant that I had. We didn't have much help. So higher levels reported shortages than any other teacher specialty. Federal data show, about 8% of teachers who work with children who qualify for service under the Individual with Disabilities Education Act, that's IDEA, are not fully certified. It's not a big percentage, but they say 8%. And they say about 8% of teachers are not fully certified. So it's just not a big percentage, but still 8% you have teachers who are not actually certified in special education. So they can't wonder what they're going to be doing with these special needs kids if they're not fully certified. When I first started, I was pretty much certified. I just had to take at the time I became a special education teacher. The only thing I was missing was my autism certification. So I had to go. The district I was working in had a program with 4 courses where I took throughout the year, 2 years. But everything else I was certified when it came to special education and teaching in general. Not really saying what certification they're missing. Is they're not fully certified. So that could mean a lot of things too when it comes to certification. There's so much, especially I know like in Florida, there's a bunch of different certifications you need to get. Even if you have a degree in education, but pretty much that's a whole money thing, and that's a whole different video. So all teachers juggle layers of practical and pedagogical responsibilities, but special education teachers carry an unusually complex workload that involves case management, teaching students multiple grades and subjects, and cooperating with fellow teachers to help students meet education goals. That is true. We do. Special education teachers do carry a big workload. Not only I was the case manager for all my kids, I had kids at different grade levels in one classroom because I worked with in the middle school. So I had 6th, 7th, 8th, and 8th grade kids with special needs, particularly severe autism, and subjects. I actually had to teach all the subjects. I had to teach math, English, history, science, sometimes PE, even the we didn't have electives, so I had to be the art teacher if we wanted to do something. The music, you didn't have electives, so I had to actually incorporate them in my classroom if I wanted them. So yeah, special education teachers definitely wear a lot of hats, and it's true here. That's why I think a lot, especially special education teachers, do burn out and just like they're done. They gotta find something else to do. either still in the school system or not. So I guess what someone said, I felt like I couldn't meet all of my students' needs with the resources and support I had, no matter how hard I worked. So Elizabeth Bettini, preach, preach, sister. I understand that. Yes. An associate professor of special education at Boston University, who previously taught special education in K through 12 schools. I felt the same way. I felt like I couldn't meet all the needs of my students because I didn't have the resources and support. No matter how much I worked, it just seemed like I wasn't doing anything for these kids. It just became more and more like babysitting. No matter what I tried to do, just couldn't get really much help from my school or the district. They didn't really seem to be interested. They just wanted to take the kids' money. The plans that they have. They just want to make sure they getting the money, and that was really it. And living as long as they were comfortable in the classroom, that's all they cared about. They didn't want to really deal with their behaviors or their disability. There was more left on me. But they were quick to point the finger at me or any of my peer special education teachers if something happened. But that's just how it goes. So this lady, Elizabeth Bettini, she used to work in special education, then she went to she seemed to teach in college now. It's a different change. I don't blame her for that. So here are 3 ways states and districts are trying to keep current special education teachers on the job and improve their chances of retaining new recruits. So I guess we're going to talk about these 3 ways that states and districts are trying to keep teachers, as well as any new special education teachers that don't want away after a year on the job. So this is number 1. Districts experiment with high pay for special education teachers. So looks like they're working on paying special education teachers more, which I mean, it makes sense. I mean, what special education teachers get paid, they pretty much get paid. Not saying regular general ed teachers should be paid more. I think all teachers need to be paid more for the work they do. But when it comes to special education teachers, especially kids who are working with severe behaviors, they don't get paid anything for what they have to go through. There's combat pay. I mean, I worked with kids with severe behaviors, very aggressive, biting, hitting, scratching, spitting, kicking, you name it. And I didn't get combat pay for that. I just got my regular pay for the abuse that I mean, I love the kids, but still, you know, to be abused like that and not like have like be shown some respect, district wise, money wise, to have to, because gen ed teachers don't have to deal with that getting beat up. They can just send a kid out or get someone to come in and take the kid out. We couldn't do that in my unit. We had the kids in there and we had to deal with them. There was no one calling. There was no one I could call except the behavior specialist. But we had 3 classes, so if something was going on in another classroom and she was busy there, I had to deal with it on my own until she could come by. So it's crazy. So when special education teachers leave their roles, they don't always leave in teaching altogether, said Wadi Theobald, Deputy Director of the National Center of Analysts of Longitudinal Data and Education Research. Rather, special education teachers with multiple teaching endorsements often shift into another position, like elementary education, he said. And I think that's true, that I think special education teachers do shift to another position. I don't know if elementary, I mean, sometimes elementary, especially depending on special education, depending on the special education teacher, because it's different. Special education teacher kind of opens up a whole range, like spectrum of positions, type of kids they work with. Like for me, I was more a program, behavioral unit for kids who couldn't, would never be able to be in the gen ed system. So that was more isolated. But I definitely know that they definitely want to switch another position, I'm sure, when working with kids like that and special needs. But elementary, usually they're more clingy and needy in elementary education, especially with special needs. And lately, I've heard that it's not getting better in elementary education. They kind of let the kids do what they want. There's no consequences, and and then they keep going. They keep moving up to middle school, high school, still acting the way they do, and it's sad. But let's see, to quantify the trend, Theobald and other researchers analyzed 10 years of Washington State data collected from 2009 to 2019. They found that in every year studied, the number of certified special education teachers in the state exceeded the number of teachers actually working in special education positions, more than 50%. So that's interesting. So during the study, found there's a lot of special education teachers, certified special education teachers, but they're not actually special education teachers anymore. They're doing something else, at least I guess in education. And actually more actually so number T so yeah, most teachers actually are certified in special education, but they're not actually using their special education certification. So that's something. But again, I'm really not surprised. But then I know other times too, I know I can follow the nowadays like ESE, that's exceptional student education, kind of goes to special to kind of kids with special needs, but they're supposed to be they're called exceptional student education. There's a fancy way of saying special education. Nowadays, I know that I can follow the teachers. All four the teachers need to be ESE certified, no matter what, because so many kids are being diagnosed with special needs, so and getting IEP. So this the special needs students are everywhere, not just like in specialized units. There's just in the general classroom. So they also found that dual certified teachers were less likely to remain special education placement than their peers who only carried special education credentials, according to a 2021 study published in the Journal of Exceptional Children. Districts like Detroit have sought to recognize the challenges of the special education world by providing annual incentive pay up to $15,000 for special education teachers. So in districts like Detroit, they're trying this incentive pay of $15,000 for special education teachers. So it'll be an additional $15,000, which I mean it does help, especially if you're paying yourself. I mean, it's nice, to get that extra money, but at the same time, you still need the support from the district, and giving them teachers more money is great, but how's that really supporting them when it comes to actually helping the kids in the classrooms? So I mean, yeah, it's nice little extra money that the teacher will probably have to use for the classroom and the students, because again, the school districts aren't going to actually help them provide them with resources, so the teacher's going to have to do it. So I mean, it's nice, but at the same time, the kids are still not getting the help they need. Teachers not getting the help, I should say, they need to help their students. So it can be politically challenging to pay teachers different salaries depending on the role. It can require changing teacher contracts. Plus, researchers are still identifying what incentive structures could best move the needle on staffing challenges. Starting in 2020, Hawaii's statewide school district offered a $10,000 bonus to special education teachers, with larger bonuses for those who teach in schools deemed hard to staff. That's on top of the base salary of $50,000. So Hawaii was giving offered 10,000 bonus, but a larger bonus for those in schools deemed hard to staff. So I don't know what that means. Probably just, nowadays it seems like all public schools are hard to staff. But I guess really challenging kids, they're going to pay more for special education teachers to come there. Of course, they say the base salary is 50,000, which again doesn't sound bad, but in Hawaii, it costs more money to live in Hawaii. So of course, 50,000, they're going to have to start teachers higher because at 50,000, because it costs the cost of living is high in Hawaii. So Theobald and fellow researchers studied and states 2022 data to talk about Hawaii. They found that after the bonuses started, special education vacancies continued to increase alongside teacher vacancies in general, but they made up a lower proportion of total unfilled positions than they had before. They largely attributed the shift to teachers who were motivated by incentive to move from general education classrooms to special education placements, not by increased retention of existing special education teachers. I have to read that again. They largely attributed the shift to teachers who were motivated by incentive to move from general education classrooms. Also, I guess the teachers are motivated who were teaching general ed moved to special education placements. So they wasn't really special education teachers that they were getting. They were getting this general ed teachers moving over. just to get more money, it seems. As I read that, that's the way I read it. Why special education teacher shortage hasn't been a waste. Students within special education programs are now more likely to be taught by qualified teachers because of bonuses they concluded. So they're there for Hawaii. So here's number 2 on what schools are doing about keeping special education teachers. States and districts prepare new special education teachers with retention in mind. So I guess they're preparing to try to keep teachers as soon as they start, what they can do to keep them right away. Advocates for grow your own programs and teacher apprenticeships, which allow candidates to earn teaching credentials while learning on the job, which I've done. I didn't grow your own program, but district I worked with, I finished up my like I said, my autism credentials through the program the district had. And also many other, like, I wasn't so lucky, but I know in the past I was a substitute teacher, and I heard a lot of substitute teachers actually were getting hired on the spot because the schools didn't have the staff. So, and since they had like a lot, they saw a substitute teacher that was reliable kept coming back and they would do their job. They would just hire them. Hey, you want a teaching job? And they would get it, and then they would actually work on their teaching certification as they were teaching at the school. The district would provide, would support them and help them have a program to get them the teaching certification. I was not so lucky though. I subbed for 3 years, and I tried to be the best sub I could, and I was never offered a full time job. I kind of had to grind to finally get a full time teaching position, and that may help schools retain them longer. So they want to give more greater awareness of the challenges they will face. So they want to kind of let them know ahead of time, like, hey, this is what you're going to face. So don't. So if you really want to sign up, this is what be. This is what you should be. This is what you should expect. So I guess hoping that they will stay if they know what's coming. Right? Honestly, especially in the unit I worked with, if I knew what was coming, I'd be like, nope, no thanks. I'll find something else. No, thank you. But anyway, many participants in the University of North Dakota Special Education Resident Teaching Program complete their training at schools where they will work full time, Director Amy Jacobson said. So these are college students, so they complete the training at schools where they will work for. That's pretty. Seems like that's pretty typical in universities. People going for education. Usually they do train at schools, and a lot of times they do get a job at the school they were interning at. And if not, they still get like job interviews at other schools. I did not. I didn't go to school for education. I was an English major, and I later went back for teaching to a teaching program. So this program allows candidates to earn a master's degree in special education by working with a mentor in a partner district as well as a mentor at the university to learn the ropes. So I mean it's good that if they definitely want to work with kids with special needs. I mean it does give them the opportunity to shadow and work in the field so they know what to expect, especially if they want to work with kids with autism. They get to work with a teacher in a unit. They get to see firsthand, and they kind of can decide, oh, maybe this is what I want to do, or maybe not. This typical unit. So I mean, it's good to learn the ropes. Like I wasn't thrown into it. I worked as a substitute worker with kids with special needs at schools. Then I became an instructional assistant in a behavioral unit with special needs, specifically autism. So I kind of already knew what I was getting into when I became a teacher in that unit. That's kind of how I learned the ropes. It's kind of like firsthand experience. Which again, a lot of kids, especially in college, coming out of college, they don't really get that. A lot don't get that firsthand. So when they go into like school and teaching, they're kind of like blown away and quit because it wasn't what they expected. Because textbooks are a lot different from firsthand experience. So organizers recently developed an option that allows candidates without 4-year degrees to get a bachelor's and master's degree simultaneously that opened the door for paraprofessionals who have years of hands-on experience in special education to become full-time teachers. And that's true. Paraprofessionals, also in Florida, we call them instructional assistants because Florida has to be different. The assistants I had, they worked, they had a lot of experience working with the students. They're hands-on with the kids. And a lot of like me, I guess I could say, because I was a instructional assistant, that's how I became a teacher in special education, because I had the experience working with kids with special needs. So I transferred from an IA to a full-time teacher. So that's definitely true. But not all paraprofessionals want to move up to that, because there's a lot more responsibility too. I mean, they already have a lot of responsibility, don't get paid. So to move up to being a teacher and having more responsibilities, and then even teachers, I know myself as a teacher, special education teacher, I a lot of times was an IA myself besides a teacher, because again, we were short staffed, so I had to help the IAs, bathrooming, because a lot like the students I worked with middle school were not even potty trained. They wore diapers and pull ups, and you had to change them. And sometimes with the behaviors, you need to take two people, sometimes three people to help in the bathroom. So they are already vented by the school district, and they have an interest and a passion to work in special education, Jacobson said. And that's true. I mean, you do have some good paraprofessionals, special or assistants who are very good at the job and love it and are willing to move up, like I did, and take on that position because they just love working with those kids. Similarly, a unique teacher residency program led by the Washington Education Assistant Association draws former paraprofessionals and emergency substitute teachers with experience in special education classrooms. Organizes recently told Education Week. Okay. So they get like substitute teachers, paraprofessionals, ones who have worked with special needs students, help them become actual full-time special education teachers. The program rotates participants through 4 different special education settings, including teaching alongside general education teachers to better prepare them for a variety of potential roles. Well, that's cool. So you can teach not only in general education, but probably also teach them in like the specialized classrooms, like behavioral unit and stuff. They get a taste for all the different types of special education environments, and kind of see what they prefer to work in. When you become a special ed teacher, there's so much variety within that. You don't know what you don't know. Annie Labido, the Special Population Coordinator at WA, told Education Week. We wanted our residents to be able to find not just what they're good at and what their strengths are, but what they're passionate about. That's a good program to have. So number 3, administrators combat special education teachers' workplace isolation and burnout. This is a big one. This is why I left public school and tried private school, because I just was burned out and wasn't getting any help from my administration at the middle school. You do feel so isolated. I mean, granted, I had a good team of people I could kind of rely on, but it was just us who got isolated. No one else could help us really relate to our situations that we were going through with this kid. So it becomes very isolated. Special education teachers are usually stressed because they lack the support and resources to do their jobs well, not because the students they serve, Beniti said. And that's true. I think teachers are more stressed because they can't help their kids, not because of the kids themselves. I mean, sure, especially kids with severe behaviors. I mean, it can be stressful, but I think teachers are more stressed out because they can't actually help the kids, help them with their behaviors. I know that's how I felt. I just felt like, what am I doing? I felt like I was letting them down. Like, like I'm a terrible teacher. Like, I just felt so bad for my kids. So they have fewer in-school peers than general education colleagues. That's true. They are often led by principals without experience. Yes, they are often led by principals without experience in special education. She said that can lead to a feeling of isolation. That's so true. I mean, my whole team that I used to work with public school could vouch for that. You have these administrators who either have no experience working with kids with special needs or limited experience. That, or maybe they did work with kids, a long time ago, with like special needs, but in the last like 10 years, they've been an administrator and then they haven't worked with special needs. So they totally forget what it's like to be in a classroom working with kids with special needs. So you definitely feel isolated, especially when you go to your administrator and try to get support, and they don't do anything. Well, they don't know what to do because they just they haven't worked with those type of kids. So it's very frustrating. And a lot of times too, the principals sometimes the administrator will kind of will question the special education teachers, like thinking like they're the ones that are in the wrong, or are not doing enough. or in my case, they don't think we know what we're doing. And that's also very like frustrating, and very demeaning too. So it really is just it's really hard. A lack of special education funding, inadequate support staff, and school psychiatrists and other systemic problems can lead teachers to feel like they are failing the very students they want to help, Anini said. And that's very true. Now, I know where the district I came from, I don't think there's a lack of special education funding. I just feel like the funding wasn't going where it was supposed to. Because like my kids who had severe behaviors and they had matrix of services with 254, 255, and that dictates how much money the district will receive depending on the matrix, and how much is going to be going to support these kids and get the service they need. And they were not getting the service they need, even though they were bringing all this money in, because they could bring like 20,000 depending on the matrix number. Like 255 is the highest. You could bring like around $20,000 into the district, but it's supposed to go for the students' needs, support them. But they didn't see any of it, which again is just really sad. And of course, yeah, support staff. There's not too much staff, especially when you're already lacking staff, and then people go out sick. It just makes it even harder. You're like just running around, just trying to keep your head above water during the day, trying to just get through the day and survive, make it to the end of the school day for the Builder Wing. Administrators can address these stresses by seeking their own professional development on how to support special education teachers and by providing regular feedback about how to include special education teachers in curriculum, purchasing decisions, planning schedules, and school-wide policy conversations, she said. So I definitely feel that administrators definitely should be more educated, especially if they have. Well, I mean, most schools anyway have special needs. So it's like, again, pretty much all kids now are being diagnosed with some type of special needs. So all administrators should like be more educated on special needs and how to handle it. But especially even more so if the school they work in has like a specialized unit, like I did with kids with emotional and behavioral problems. They definitely should be more educated so they can help those teachers in the unit so they don't feel so isolated and alone. And also don't feel like they're being judged by the administrator because again there's this disconnect, so they have no idea. So what they see, they would they have a different view on things. So it'd be nice that the administrators and the teachers are all on the same page, be able to help each other out. So maybe someday that can happen. Someday. So there you have it. What are your thoughts on the article? How do you think districts and schools can retain special education teachers? Please leave your comments down below. I'd love to read them. If you'd like to read the article yourself, I'll link in the description. With that said, I just want to thank you for watching, and together we can change how the education system works.